Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my guide to Alexander Midas Floor 2, the Cuff of the Sun, on the normal difficulty. To unlock this raid, you must first finish the Fist of the Sun and do the quest immediately following it. This raid has the same requirements as Floor 1, so if you can enter that, you're good here. The first few trash mobs just consist of a few gobwalkers and goblins, which act pretty much the same as they did back in Gordius Floor 2. Just kill off the first two trash packs before you get to the boss. Now the boss of Floor 2 actually consists of a gauntlet of 4 different bosses that you must defeat. The good news is that each boss will stay dead after you kill it, meaning that even if you full wipe on one of the later bosses, you won't need to re-defeat the bosses you've already beaten. Each boss has their own mechanics that we will cover here. The first boss is Blaster. He will alternate between 2 major attacks as well as the occasional room-wide AoE. The first attack shoots 3 missiles at random raid members. When the AoEs of the missiles hit, they plant landmines on the ground that you should avoid stepping on. If you do trigger one, it'll do AoE damage and inflict paralyze and vulnerability up. His other attack marks 4 players with blue markers above their head. After a short delay, these players will be hit by an AoE that summons a Blaster Mirage. These mirages will then target the marked player and do a dash attack, dealing high damage and inflicting vulnerability up. Just run these marks to the outside of the arena and then stay there and you should be fine. Finish off Blaster and move on to boss number 2. Brawler is the next boss. He will occasionally hit the tank with a tank buster that causes them to take higher damage from Brawler's attacks. It's best to tank swap this mechanic every 3 or 4 stacks, though it is survivable for pretty much the entire fight with proper healing and cooldown usage. Brawler's major mechanic is that he will transform a single arm to execute different attacks when he jumps into the air. If you see him summon a single cannon on his right arm, he will do a heavy hitting tank buster, so tanks, use a cooldown on this one. If you see his left hand turn into a drill, everyone should immediately run away from him, as the drill targets one random party member and deals high damage the closer you are to him, so if you're right up in his face, he'll probably kill you instantly. If you see both of his hands turn into cannons, the raid should stack up and split the damage from his next cannon blast. Just keep dealing with these rotating mechanics and then move on to boss number 3. Boss number 3 is Swindler, and he has an arena mechanic plus a stacking mechanic. He also has a tank buster, but it doesn't apply a debuff, so it just does a bunch of damage. Swindler's first mechanic is called High or Low Arithmetics. He will raise and lower several platforms on the arena and afflict players with either high or low arithmetics. If you have high arithmetics, you need to stand on the lower platforms. If you have low arithmetics, you need to stand on the elevated platforms. If you fail the mechanic, it'll deal high damage and inflict vulnerability up. His other big mechanic summons a white circle AoE around a single party member. This AoE has a number of balls floating above the player's head, which designates how to counter the mechanic. Basically, for each ball above the player's head, that many players need to be hit by the attack. Here's an example where we failed the mechanic, but I can still use it as an example. The person next to me has 4 balls above their head. That means that 3 people need to join the marked player in the AoE, for a total of 4 people. Now, we didn't do it correctly here because it's only me plus the marked player, which equals 2, not 4. If you do it correctly, the AoE does nothing. If you don't math right, it will deal high damage and inflict vulnerability up. On top of these 2 mechanics, the boss will use bioarithmetics to deal high AoE damage. Just dance back and forth between these mechanics and you can go attack the final boss. The final boss is Vortexer, who has 1 primary mechanic as well as some damaging AoEs. For his basic moves, he is a tank buster that applies a stacking debuff, so swap every 3 to 4 stacks. He can also knock everyone back with Super Cyclone, so position near a wall to minimize how far you get knocked back. He also lays down fire AoEs on the ground that you don't want to step in. The main mechanic is Elemental Jammer, which will mark a player with a blue marker. After 20 seconds, this player will explode and deal damage in an AoE around them. They also leave behind a Water Twister. Your goal is to freeze this twister with an ice AoE he will use shortly after it spawns. Once an ice block has been created doing this combination, you can hide behind it when the Vortexer goes to cast Ultra Flash. If you don't hide behind the ice block, it's going to kill you. Just make sure that the block is in a decent spot, somewhere in the middle of the room preferably, so people have an easy time hiding behind it. Repeat these mechanics over again and you're done with Floor 2 of Midas. Thanks for watching this Alexander Normal Guide. This floor drops similar items to Gordius Floor 2, except that these versions of the items can be traded in for Maiden Gear, which is item level 220 back in Idleshire. Again, thank you for watching, and be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Be sure to check out the other Alexander Normal guys to make sure that your Duty Finder groups do an alright job. Anyway, I'll see you guys in Floor 3, and until then, take care.